What's up, gamers? DreamcastGuy here, and it's Top 10 Thursday. Recently, there's been a lot of rumors that there could be some sort of mysterious partnership brewing between Nintendo and Microsoft, something that could end up allowing actual Xbox games to be playable in some format on the Nintendo Switch. Now, already, this is a crazy prospect, and something that has me very, very excited, simply because even if we end up having to stream them, this is a great opportunity to see some really big games coming to this really tiny handheld. So today, just because I'm so hyped about it, I want to try and count down my picks of the top 10 Xbox One games we need on the Switch. Number 10. Sea of Thieves. I wanted to put this game at the very beginning of the video because it's a project that is just so fun with friends. Now, obviously it had a lot of problems back at launch, but since that time, it has gotten some giant patches and a couple free expansions that makes this something that now is a blast to play online. It's something where you can sail around, get into different fights, maybe kill a few skeletons, all with your buddies backing you up. And it's something that I think would be perfectly at home on Switch, simply because now you can take that action anywhere. You'll be able to maybe even team up with friends who are by your side as you sail the 7 seas. Number 9. Dead Rising 3. There's something so freaking good about getting to play through really expansive open-world games on my Nintendo Switch. It's such a joy that's almost indescribable, which is a big part of the reason that I really want to get this game specifically on there. Dead Rising 3 is a good open-world game, but one of the best parts about it is that you can just steal a car, drive through zombies, craft weapons. Anything you do feels like such a gleeful expression of your own little quirkiness. And I think that it would be a perfect fit for the Switch. People really get a kick out of it, and honestly, I feel like Capcom themselves would probably be happy to get a couple extra sales out of this exclusive. Number 8. Forza Horizon 4. There's a pretty solid chance that the only way these games are going to actually start coming over from the Xbox One is via streaming, where basically there's going to be a server that's directly transferring all this data to our console as we play it. And I think that some of the games that are going to run the absolute most fluidly are definitely things like this. A good racing game, something where we're cruising around, but it's not actually trying to process that many commands per minute. And I feel like this game could really be a good chance to show off just how solid, well, streaming services have gotten, because this is a game that is super fun, super gorgeous, and could be a great chance to show off just how much Game Pass is working on Switch. Number 7. Ashen. Recently, like as in the last decade, we've seen the rise of a new subgenre of gaming called Souls-likes. These are typically extra hard action RPG games, but something that's very unique about them is that not only are they tough, but they usually control extremely well. It's kind of fun to play them simply because they really push you to your limits. And Ashen, it's a surprise game in that genre. It is so freaking hard, it is so freaking brutal, but honestly, it's just so freaking good. I've put so many hours into this, and actually I'd like to play it again. It would be so thrilling, honestly, to get to do a full second playthrough, but this time in handheld mode. That way I can see if I can actually handle this thing while walking around and on the go. Number 6. Rare Replay. There's a little bit of irony attached to if a game like this really managed to come to the Nintendo Switch, simply because Rare Replay is actually a collection of games made throughout the 90s, and some of them really got their start back on Nintendo hardware. Stuff like Battletoads or something as epic as Conker, these things got their start way back in the day on Nintendo platforms. So it'd be great to see them come back. And along with that, it's hard to ignore the fact that Rare Replay is just filled with so many gems that I think that it'd be a huge seller, it'd get a lot of attention, and quite frankly, it would make so many fans extremely happy. Number 5. Ori and the Blind Forest. There are some rumors already beginning to circulate that we could be seeing this game relatively soon coming to the Nintendo Switch, making it the first Xbox exclusive to make the jump to other hardware. Now, I would personally be thrilled about that because Ori and the Blind Forest is a masterpiece. It's a really good puzzle sort of platformer and something that just completely blew me away. It made me laugh, it made me cry, and it made me sort of reanalyze how I thought of a good 2D game. You may not know this now, but when I first started reviewing games, this is one of the earliest I ever played, and it's actually one of the first games I ever gave a perfect 10 out of 10 to. Number 4. The Master Chief Collection. Now, I realize putting this on the list is a little bit of a big deal, just because this game is quite seriously massive. You could play this collection for literally thousands of hours, just online or by yourself, because there is so much to see and do. But I wanted to put this on here specifically because some of my favorite first-person shooters of all time are actually Halo 1 and Halo 2. They have some of the sharpest co-op gameplay of all time, so it'd be great to see them come back in such a cool way. And more than that, I just think that they would be so perfectly at home on the Nintendo Switch, which is still in bad need of some great FPS action. Do it, Microsoft. Give these the proper home that Chief deserves. Number 3. Sunset Overdrive. I think most of us are willing to admit that there is, deep down, sort of a Nintendo style, an aesthetic, an art. There's something that's just very uniquely Nintendo, a color variance that only Nintendo does. And that's why I think it's a little bit funny that Sunset Overdrive, it kinda has it. This is a game that is just so bright and crazy and really, really goofy in every way that I absolutely love. It's one of those games that manages to be funny, and I mean genuinely funny, in a way where every time you pull off that next big trick or do another stunt, it feels like a good joke that you are in on. And beyond that, it's just exciting to try and conquer bosses and level up and just get another giant weapon to blast people with. Number 2. Gears of War 4. This franchise is downright nasty, but in a way that's actually really, really good. You see machine guns that have chainsaws on them, a really good monster design, and stuff like some storyline elements where you see people literally being blown apart. But by far the best aspect of Gears of War is, of course, the online multiplayer. This has a super competitive scene around it, but every match is so fun, you don't really care whether you win or whether you lose. I'd love to see people really jumping into this because I feel like the community is just so sharp. Everybody is willing to share tips, get into new fights, and just constantly try and test out every weapon they come across. And I actually think that the Nintendo fanbase would really fit right in here. They've never had a game that's quite so visceral, over the top, and eccentric, and I think that they would really get a big kick out of this explosive good time. Number 1. Cuphead. I'm somebody who bought an Xbox One at launch. I've had one since literally the day it came out, and something that's been very special about this system is the fact that it doesn't really get a lot of exclusives, but the ones it does get, they try and be special. Every game is trying to do something in an effort to be extra unique, but Cuphead, it really hit a special note with me. It's really got a strong aesthetic. It's cool, old-timey art is cool, but beyond that, I like a game that just doesn't mind murdering you over and over again. This game is honestly going to kill the heck out of you, but it still manages to be very fun simply because the action is so tight. Whenever you're playing it, whether you're alive or whether you're dead, it's a really good time, and I like the fact that it has so much co-op action in it. I'd actually love to see this game come over to the Switch simply because I feel like Nintendo's console has a very heavy emphasis on multiplayer. It'd be great to actually just sit down on the floor sometime with some friends of mine, each get a Joy-Con, and just try and completely beat this game as a team. It'd be great to just basically do our best to defeat this game while of course dying thousands of times over in the process. And for that reason, I'm awarding this game my pick as the number 1 game from Xbox One that I wish would come to Nintendo Switch. Did your favorite Microsoft game not make the list? Got an idea for a future top 10? Leave it in the comments down below. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like, share with your friends, and subscribe if you haven't already. But do me the biggest favor of all and keep dreaming. I'm actually playing Diablo 3 right now, and it's towards the end of the game, and there's this spooky lightning. And every time it flashes, I kept accidentally looking at it like, what's going on? Play Diablo. Play everything in this video, because seriously, these games are fantastic. Thanks so much for watching that video. If you want to see something else, you can always click this link to see what I put up last, or, subscribe and see what's coming up next. Also, I promise that whatever I do, it'll try not to suck.